are here at Sacred Chow on Sullivan Street in New York City, about to get some vegan food. This is my husband Chad and my good friend Lauren. Let's go in. This is my friend Lauren, and Lauren is vegetarian. She's been vegetarian for 18 years, you said?
Yeah. I was 12 years old when I decided to become a vegetarian. It wasn't so much, at the time, it wasn't so much that I just didn't want to eat meat. I was just never a big meat eater, and I felt better when I wasn't eating meat.
Yeah.
Then came into high school, freshman biology, and 13 years old, started to learn not just about different diseases like mad cow and things like that, but it was just more about the cruelty to the animals and what happens actually in the slaughterhouses.
You know, the male chicks are they're a waste product for the egg industry, and even free range eggs, they're not what we picture of like chickens on the grass and some can be
free range are that cage free. Can just mean not a 12 by 12. It could mean a 16 by 16, a slightly bigger cage. So I think the one thing that I like that's happening now, I think, in culture, and I like that with social media and with the internet being at our fingertips, people are allowed and are becoming a little bit more educated.
Yes.
So I think it's a really wonderful thing that even if they are a meat eater or like myself a vegetarian or like you a vegan, I notice there are more options for us now because people are becoming more educated. So if you go out, somebody will be like, oh, are you a pescatarian? And they prepare the food differently now.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, you're vegan, completely dairy-free.
This is my husband Chad. He is also vegan, slightly different or very different story than mine. So when do you believe that your journey to veganism started?
So for me, the decision is ultimately about the environment, and that my process of deeply caring about the environment, becoming an environmentalist, started in college. I'm an architect by trade. I happened to take a class focused on sustainability about 15 years ago, before really many people knew about it. And I had a professor who was deep in it, and I took that class, learned about it, and sort of embraced it with open arms. Since then, it's just been a process of discovery. In some cases, it was a matter of recognizing, coming to terms with the reality that things in processed meat are not good for me, right? So I cut that out. And
did I influence you at all in any of your decisions ever?
yes, certainly, but not
Just
What
but not,
hotels you two have.
yeah, not it was more a matter of you found certain pieces of information and presented them to me, or it was a matter of we both had heard about something like Cowspiracy, right? We had heard about it for how long? The two of us, right? We just didn't watch it. One day we decided to sit down and watch it, and at that point I realized, oh, so all of these things that I've done, whether impacting the built environment through the career that I have, making these what I thought were really big decisions, helping people green their lives in a way that, building a house, building a building, you'd think are the most impactful way, or making the decision to move to New York City, get rid of a car, all of that, and coming to terms with the same thing as the guys from Cowspiracy came to terms with, that ultimately it's nowhere near as impactful a decision as supporting the meat and dairy industry. And at that point in my life, I was largely supporting the dairy industry. Everybody loves ice cream, right? But
Everybody loves ice cream.
I had to come to terms with the fact that, you know, if I'm going to practice what I preach, if I'm going to live what I believe, something I've sort of built my professional career around. But what I find most fascinating is that the things that I didn't necessarily, or that weren't necessarily part of my decision, so animal rights, or, you know, things of that nature, other reasons for going vegan, very quickly became an important part of why I was vegan, became an important part of my vegan identity. You know, still, ultimately, the environmental impact and the future of humanity, our world, all of those things are paramount to me. But one conversation that I have pretty consistently with vegans or with people who are interested in becoming vegan is that it doesn't matter ultimately what leads you there. Almost guaranteed you will eventually care about the other things, because once you stop looking at these things as normal or as acceptable, your mindset changes, you know. I will be the first person to say that 2 years ago, well, more than that, I stopped eating pork about 10 years ago, but 10 years ago, 12 years ago, you know, I could see a pig, acknowledge how smart it was, acknowledge that it was more intelligent than a dog or a cat, right? And build a relationship with it, have no issue with eating bacon the next morning. Now, the thought process to me is crazy, right? And I didn't stop eating bacon because I cared about pig. I stopped eating bacon because I realized that it wasn't necessarily very healthy for me. If anything, I'm one of the many walking examples of vegans don't just eat salad.
Yeah.
We eat a lot of carbs and a lot of sugar. I mean, this is a margarita, it's full of sugar, right? So.
Well, my sangria.
Yeah.
My sangria is full of sugar.
Yeah. So we have many options.
I'm definitely not the perfect specimen. I don't do everything perfect in my life, but I have a heightened awareness that a lot of people don't have. So I try my best to make the right decisions, to look at the ingredients, to, you know, but if I want a sangria, I'm having a sangria.